the timeline has been provided as 7 days, even including the petition, the presidential petition has already been provided for, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, reading of Article 86, and that is why I was wondering why the National Assembly were introducing unconstitutional clauses, which I find that the JLAC.
Honorable members, please consult in very low tones. Let's hear Senator Cherargei.
Madam Speaker, I find it that the National Assembly sat and tried to rewrite the Constitution, because the issue of timeline of presidential election and announcement is already provided by the Constitution, Madam Speaker. That's 7 days. Reading of Article 86, Part C, it says the results from the polling stations are openly and accurately collected and promptly announced by the returning officer. So the key word there, Madam Speaker, is promptly. So the introduction that they wanted in this report that I've seen, and I'm happy that the committee has rejected these amendments of the National Assembly, that they tried to in the Elections Offences Act, number 2 Bill of 2024, as I second, Madam Speaker, is unnecessary in terms of undelayed timeline. Because, Madam Speaker, as Senator Maina has said, the Election Offences Act of 2016, number 37, has already provided for these offences in place. Madam Speaker, the issue of ungazetted polling stations is very clear, because every time, Madam Speaker, all the polling stations, and I think Kenya is synonymous of using or gazetting primary schools or learning institutions or other public institutions are a place for the polling centers where members of the public can go and vote, Madam Speaker. I find it, this is very clear. The elections are very clear. The Offences Act is very clear on the same. And therefore, the rejection of this clause number 2 is already provided for, and therefore the Elections Offences Act of 2016 is guarded for. For the alteration, doing elections outside a gazetted area, Madam Speaker, the law, the Elections Offences Act has ably put it in place. And I think even if you look at the extrapolation of Section 6 of 2016, it covers all of them. And in fact, to a conviction of around 2 million Kenya shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or both. So, Madam Speaker, what the National Assembly, and all of us have to agree in an upshot, Madam Speaker, that this issue of election, we are over-legislating. Madam Speaker, I've said in this House for some time now, every session, these members of Parliament want to always amend the Elections Act. Every session. And Senator Manso, when he was in the lower house, knows how we have had protracted, even at some point in the lower house, Madam Speaker, water was being poured to the temporary speaker, may her soul rest in peace, the former governor of Bomet, Governor Dr. Joyce Laboso. Madam Speaker, it has been a motive, even looking at the Kriegler reports, the issue of formation of commission, the history of IPPG in this country, Madam Speaker, where even it I reached, Madam Speaker, I remember on a lighter note, you remember the Chebukati-led commission. We thought, we looked around until we asked ourselves, when we came in the last session, we put in the law that the selection panel should be led by the religious members, by people who are religious, who are professed, who are the bishops and leaders and sheikhs. But when there was an outcome of Chebukati-led commission being constituted, people lost hope. People did not believe that the selection panel that was chaired by religious men and women at that point that put in Chebukati-led commission could put in place. Madam Speaker, I strongly believe, having participated in several elections, and of course won 100% in them, Madam Speaker, I want to confirm the problem we have in this country is deficit of trust. It is not about the commission. It is not about the commissioners. It's not about Kenyans. Our political rights are anchored in Article 38. Article 86 provides that the election process should be simple, verifiable, and accurate, Madam Speaker. The problem we face in this country, even in the curricular report, is the deficit of trust. Madam Speaker, I was watching the other day, you know, we went to Brazil sometimes back when I was the chair, JLAC, and we visited and went and studied on how the electoral process of Brazil operates. And I remember at that time, the current president, Yusuf da Silva, Lula, we went and met them. He was incarcerated. The president then was Bolsonaro. They call Trump of the North of America, Madam Speaker. And I reached a point that system is so efficient, Madam Speaker, by the time you close a polling station at 5 in Brazil, within few minutes you know who is the winner. From all the elections up to the president. And that is why, funnily enough, President Bolsonaro, before he was defeated by Lula, wanted that system that has been developed by the Brazilians to be changed to the paper, just the way what President Trump wanted. So, but when you talk to the systems of elections in the Brazil, Madam Speaker, they are very efficient. They are very accurate. And they have developed their own system, which they believe, so that we don't have cases of Jose Carmago, the Venezuelan Smartic issue, Madam Speaker, that has given the credibility. And you remember, Madam Speaker, when the Dian of Kenyan politics, His Excellency Right Honorable Amolo Odinga at point has been the boiling point that the servers be open. Although Kenyans misinterpreted servers to mean other things in the streets there. Because at that time when the Supreme Court matter was being listened, you remember we were being told in France people are sleeping. We are in the Supreme Court, Madam Speaker. The reason this country, Madam Speaker, is the deficit of trust, is the belief in the institutions, Madam Speaker. And as I conclude, I want to borrow the words of when President Obama came to Egypt and addressed that the reason first world countries develop is they have so much belief in their institutions as to oppose to their personalities. And that is what is facing this country. And I want to appeal, Madam Speaker, as we agree with the findings of the committee of the JLAC that has been moved ably by the Senator Veronica Maina, Madam Speaker, who is running also for the Women Rep of Muranga, that we agree that the report, Madam Speaker, but I have encouraged her to run for governor. Who said women must only run for women rep? They should run for governor, a better seat, so that we can see more things. Because this report has provided, and I think, Madam Speaker, and I want, luckily the majority leader is in the House. The reason we have deferred in the National Assembly are based on constitutional principles. It is not about our differences in terms of our roles. Because I know people will report that there is supremacy between the National Assembly and the Senate. Far from it. If you look at this report, Madam Speaker, and I have it, they have anchored their reasoning on the Constitution. They have anchored their reasoning on the President, on the conditions, on the history, Madam Speaker, of the election process in this country. And I want to give an advice. I've seen my brother, my very good friend, who is the leader of prayer breakfast in Parliament, Senator Manzo. And I want to advise him, in the words of the National Assembly Speaker, that when you see crowd, don't think they are voters. They must have come to get shocked to want to see who are these people. Madam Speaker, and I saw today in some news that even members of public agree. So as you walk around the country, even in Kisii, Madam Speaker, those people who came out in Kisii, Madam Speaker, just were amazed. They want to see who are these people. Who are these people, Madam Speaker? And I want to thank the majority leader. He appropriately answered a number of them. Because, Madam Speaker, I'm surprised, in conclusion, that as politicians, there are people who want to go to the elections, but they are already attacking the referee. Yesterday, I watched Manu versus Everton, Madam Speaker, in the evening. Although Manu just scored, I think, through somebody saw Cunha, Madam Speaker, 1-0 yesterday, Manchester versus Everton. You can imagine. They won by 1 goal. They did not score so much. 1 goal. And it was just out of... but they got the points, but imagine if Manchester United or Everton, Madam Speaker, started beating up the referee. There would be no game or licensement. So in any election, I have seen the members of United Opposition have started beating drums of attacking the IBC, of attacking the ref. Then if you don't believe in the process of election, why would you participate in the election, Madam Speaker? That is the whole point. Don't attack the ref, don't attack the linesman. If you are a spectator, we don't want to see. We want us to believe in our institutions. Whether Manzo is the chair of IBC or you, Madam Speaker, which you have vast experience because you have been in the oldest political party in this republic as a very senior member. And I'm happy the person who moved this motion is the People's Secretary General, former SG. And Madam Speaker, on a lighter note, this house is becoming two formers. Now we had a former SG of ODM. Now we have former SG of UDA. And I know there are people, even former chief whip, you know, people are becoming formers without realizing, Madam Speaker. So that is why I'm saying we must believe in the institution, the IBC that has been provided. And I want to appeal to our colleagues. And I know, Senator Manzo, you are a good man. I saw you praying in America. If your prayers have reached America, you should believe in the electoral process of this country. We don't want to, Madam Speaker, to believe in an institution. If we attack IBC today, and I saw them presenting their budget policy statements to the National Assembly, I think they want 40 billion plus. What we should be pushing, colleagues, is to give capacity and ability to IBC in terms of adequate funding so that they can do continuous voter registration, they can build capacity of their staff and the commission so that they can do a credible process instead of attacking and undermining the IBC, Madam Speaker. So I want to believe that this report, Madam Speaker, is also emanating, if I'm reliably informed, from the NADCO reports, one of them, Madam Speaker. Let us sort, but to the Kenyans, the problem is not with the elections law. The problem is with us that do not believe or have a mistrust among ourselves, Madam Speaker. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, allow me to end there, and I beg to second. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the National Assembly amendments to the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bills number 28 of 2024 be now considered. Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on a very, very, very important report. Madam Speaker, when IBC appeared before the Senate Committee of JLAC, where I sit, you know the law relating to voting under the Constitution is Article 86, which reads that at every election, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall ensure that A, whatever voting method is used, the system is simple, accurate, verifiable, secure, accountable, and transparent. Madam Speaker, based on this, Article 86 and the following articles which deal with election, every report which is made and every law which is made in relation to election, Madam Speaker, must conform to this simple policy of the Constitution. And it is very important that the arbiter is also must be seen, you know, not to be influenced, must be seen to be fair. And for them to be able to give us election results which are simple and verifiable, then also the cost of the election must be borne by the country and must be reasonable cost of election. It should not be expensive or, you know, very expensive election costing billions of shillings. The printing materials and the procurement of the same must be safe and the cost must be reasonable. We are aware that elections are won or lost at the polling station. And the system we have, just like Senator Chiregei has spoken about the systems in other countries, at every police station, we should know who won and who lost the election. That's where it begins. But now when it comes to transferring of the election, problems begin to mount. And when you have the Jose Camargos of this world and their system, Madam Speaker, there is likely to be a problem. I have been in the election petitions since 2013, and in 2017, the Supreme Court ruled that the election was not free and fair. It had electoral malpractices, and the presidential elections were nullified, Madam Speaker. And even statements have been made. The person who really takes care of an election is the member of parliament. And if you see, the votes of the member of parliament should not, in a polling station, should not vary so much with the votes of the presidential candidate. If they vary, then there is likelihood of malpractice, and it is important that the register be updated, Madam Speaker. When the register is not updated, there is likelihood of dead voters voting, and it has happened before. We knew a mother of a prominent Kenyan, a member of parliament, who had passed on just before the elections. But after election, when we went to check the paperwork in that police station where she used to vote, we found that she had raised from the dead, gone and voted, and went back to the grave. So those malpractices do exist. They are there. Dead people do vote. And Madam Speaker, this happens after 5 a.m. in the strongholds of candidates. In fact, in the 2017 election, there had been cheating in 38 constituencies for presidential vote on one side and 16 constituencies of presidential vote on the other side. You know, so that it's like the presidential candidates were competing on cheating. And this is done by collusion at the polling station after 5. And therefore, it is unfortunate when we scrutinize during court trials and you find that there is electoral malpractice. So first and foremost, we want the Electoral Commission to make sure that there is no cheating in the country. And that's why the United Alternative Government is clear that the arbiter must be seen to be free and fair. And after 2 visits to the IBC, I have realized this is a team actually the country can rely on. We had accused them of being a commission belonging to William Ruto, but now we are convinced that there are Kenyans there. And the person who we had a problem with, Marjan, has left on his own volition, which is a good sign that good things are coming. But the next CEO, who is very important, must be a person who cannot be influenced, must be a person who will not misadvise the commissioners, must be a person who Kenyans can trust, and in the event we don't trust him, then we have to voice it out, Madam Speaker. We cannot just keep quiet and we are going to participate in this election. In fact, the biggest clients of the Electoral Commission are political parties. So every coalition, every political party is free to visit and make their case with the IBC. No one is stopped from visiting the IBC. So when the United Opposition visits the IBC, they visit because they are stakeholders of the election, and they need to be sure, and they need to make proper presentations. And electoral offenses have not been taken seriously in this country. If electoral offenses and the punishments thereof were prohibitive, people will be careful not to mess. We have seen elections with violence. We have seen, even in Kisii yesterday, people plotting violence against opposition leaders, alternative government leaders, visiting the people. Why will you attack them? Why will anybody plan an attack on Sifuna when he's going to meet people? You should let Sifuna have his meeting, and any other person who wants to go to Kakamega do a meeting, also do their meeting. and let the best man win. But, Madam Speaker, that is not what we have seen. There is trend of violence, and there is trend of killings. And what I want to tell Senator Cheregai is that for every one person you kill because of politics, the person alleged to be accused of that killing loses votes. By the time you mourn that person, by the time you bury that person, it's all political. Kenyans are making their mind as to where they will vote. And the IBC must also come up with proper mechanism of promoting and educating voters. Voter education, Madam Speaker, has been missing. We are aware that voter registration will start massively and to every police station on 29th March after Ramadan is over. So I really want to call upon the Sifuna followers and all the young people in this country to go and register as voters, because finally it is the vote which counts. You can shout as much as you want one term or whatever terms you want to shout. But so long as you are not voting on the voting day, your effort is totally a waste of time. And I think now is a time the young people and the 8 million Kenyans who did not vote last time should be very upset with how things are being done currently, and wake up very early to go and vote and bring a just government of the people. It is not going to be easy for anyone to put this country back to track. I saw the president yesterday say that his focus is on the ball. But unfortunately, with the golf ball, sometimes you especially if you are an amateur, you hit it and it goes into the forest. Are you still focusing on the ball? We must really listen to Kenyans, do the right things for Kenyans. Kenyans have seen election violence. Kenyans should not die because of election, because of politics. Kenyans should not bury their loved ones because of politicians and because of misuse of the police force, Madam Speaker. We should all feel free to go and vote. We have seen violence in police stations in certain parts of the country, whereby, in fact, violence is so much unleashed on one side so that one candidate is totally disadvantaged, and that one favors members of parliament be elected, or the governors, and also it goes a long way also to favor a presidential candidate. And this matters when they are taken to court. Sometimes all the evidence doesn't come out in court. And therefore, there is every need, Madam Speaker, that we have a proper electoral law in the country, that a law everyone can rely on. And we have also seen a new trend where the law doesn't matter anymore, where procedures don't matter anymore for politicians, where every politician's pretense is above the law, organizes and unleashes violence on opponents. I think, Madam Speaker, if an election is won fairly and squarely, then the other Kenyans, if you have a complaint, you file an election petition and voice it out. If there is no complaint, then the government which has been elected should be allowed to serve. Violence should not be unleashed unnecessary to voters during the voting exercise. So I really want to challenge IBC, and I am praying for them that they get the budgets and the amount of money they need to plan a good election. We want to know the security of the ballot paper, the security of and the integrity of the electoral process, so that no extra ballots are printed or no extra boxes are taken into police stations. Violence is caused, blackouts are caused, and later on when votes are counted, it is a different story. As a person who have done election petitions since 2002, I am aware that every election is stolen in a way, even a member's election. And that's why people file election petitions. That's why we have by-election like we had one in the coast. What happens is the candidates who succeed, they are voted for overwhelmingly, such that the thieves of the election steal and are unable to finish all the votes. That's what happens in a lot of times. That's what happens in a lot of times. It is true, Senator for Bungoma, I can assure you, you are overwhelmingly elected. But I'm happy to hear the point of order.
Senator Wakoli, what's your point of order?
Standing Order 105, statement of fact. Can Senator Maanzo, as a serious prayer warrior and intercessor who communicates to God every day, even now, confirm to us how you stole elections, if you have ever stolen? That it's a fact that people steal elections in Kenya. Can he justify
Senator
using
Maanzo,
his holiness title?
Yes, what I usually do in Makueni, because you cannot have a perfect 100% election in this country. And I'll tell you the malpractices. First, there are people and their agents on a polling day giving 100 shillings outside the polling station. In fact, there are people, Madam Speaker, who only spend millions of shillings on the election day only. So what I do, I pray my God, and I mobilize so many votes without paying. My election is usually the cheapest.
Senator Maanzo.
Yes.
I don't think the member wants you to explain what you do. He wants you to substantiate the allegations that it's a fact that elections are stolen.
Yes, I will substantiate, and I will say, if that's what I do myself, and what I do is I put together so many votes so that whoever is stealing from me, they will steal and there will be a balance.
Senator Maanzo, you actually not understand what substantiation is.
Yes, I do.
So can you substantiate that people steal elections?
I can substantiate through the election petitions which I have filed, Madam Speaker. And the best example...
So you know them, you're the one who filed. Can you indicate one?
The election petition, the presidential election petition of 2017 ruled out that Raila Odinga's election was stolen.
Senator Wakoli, that...
I'm not convinced. He should table facts.
Senator Wakoli, I think the ruling of 2017 is in the public realm. So you can verify and come and confirm whether it is
Speaker, did it say they were stolen?
It said clearly that the election was stolen, and that's why it was nullified. And there was another election. That's exactly what happened. So, under Senator Wakoli, I'm sure.
If this is the position of the united opposition, then we leave them to
Senator
God.
Senator Wakoli, this was intended to be a substantiation. So yes, what you need to do is verify the facts of the case and indicate whether he's right or not.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me go on to conclude. I really want to say that now I can hear this is generating a lot of politics. The position of alternative government is that we will talk and convince as many Kenyans as possible, as they are doing now in Kisii, to support us so that when the election comes, we'll be voted overwhelmingly, so that anybody trying to steal that election will not be able to do it at all. A lot will be left more and will win the election. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to support.
Senator Aaron Cheruyot.
My apologies, Madam Speaker. Senator Odi, let me use this place. Madam Speaker, this report actually by our colleagues, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. For the record, I have to declare interest that I participated in the NADCO process that gave birth to this report, Madam Speaker. And therefore, as I speak, I'm acutely aware that this is a reflection of the House rejecting part of the work that we did and the justification. I think I have quickly skimmed through what are some of the concerns that people could be having with that particular phrase. And I think the bigger challenge here comes with the fluency with which this report was drafted, particularly on the phrase undue delay, Mr. Speaker. the stakeholder, if you read paragraph 15 of the overview of the stakeholders' submissions on the particular bill, which is where this report premises its arguments on, is that the stakeholders submitted that the proposed wording of unreasonable delay, quote unquote, as in clause 2A of the bill, waters down the intent of punishing delays in declaring results because it has not been clearly defined, thus rendering it prone to misinterpretation. The stakeholders further urged the committee to align with the proposed amendment in section 39(1) of the Election Act and provides that the process and timelines for tallying, announcements, and declaration of election results. It's clear that as a committee, that's a NADCO committee, because we drafted these bills, Mr. Speaker, jointly, and it was co-chaired by the party leader of Senator Maanzo and the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, that we didn't capture the spirit of perhaps the country fairly well, because that paragraph tells you the fear that many stakeholders had when they appeared before us. Remember, the NADCO committee was formed as a follow-up to the 2022 elections and the protests that emanated thereon, which has been a cycle that this country has found itself in from as far back as you can recall. I think 2007, there were similar issues, 2013, 2017, 2022. Mr. Speaker, God knows about 2027 as well. And this is part of what we were aiming to address. But it's quite clear, if you read through the observations of the various, stakeholders that appeared before Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, it is quite clear that perhaps we didn't make it as exclusive or elaborate as many citizens would have wished, because a concern by those who appeared before us was that there were many instances where declaration of results was taking longer than usual. I think if you recall last elections, there were counties where particularly, let's say in the seat of governor, it took longer than usual. And you know there were challenges. There's a part maybe where you find an opponent has realized they've lost the election, and therefore what they do is to mobilize supporters to go before the county tallying center, Madam Speaker, and ensure that declaration is not made, because we have put so much premium on the actual declaration by either the returning officer for the presidential or for county or even lower level elections, Mr. Speaker, which is a Kenyan phenomenon that I'm yet to understand, because in many parts of the world, Mr. Speaker, particularly older democracies, you don't have this kind of archaic practices. Actually, a declaration is made independently by the various state agencies, and that holds to be the election result at that particular time. We don't have this obsession of can the returning officer declare, either for constituency or for county or even the presidential. If you read, for example, the submission by IGLEA, who are one of the agencies that appeared before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, Madam Speaker, and I know for a fact that they have been involved in this litigation space around electoral matters for a while, Mr. Speaker. They posit that the proposed amendment should be consistent with the principle requiring a criminal offense to be explicitly defined to specify punishment, that it seeks to advance an offense to avoid ambiguity. It urged the committee to either adopt the definition of term unreasonable delay with the meaning and the context of the proposed bill, provided specific timelines out of which the delay will be considered unreasonable. This is precisely what I'm addressing, that in our attempt to take into consideration the views by the various Kenyans who appeared before us at Bomas, Madam Speaker, asking us that we provide clarity on this issue of undue delay in declaration of results, we didn't do a fairly good job, Madam Speaker, and therefore they were asking that, number one, you must tie, because we intended in that proposed legislation to make it a punishable offense by law when you unreasonably delay declaration of election results as an elections officer. But that hasn't been properly specified. Second, and most important thing that they raise is that unreasonable delay is not fluent enough to explain that particular situation, because what I may consider to be unreasonable is not necessarily what you, Madam Chair, will consider it to be unreasonable. Many people will think that the returning officer is perhaps playing some funny games, but it may turn out that they are just counter-checking and they want to be certain and sure of how certain things are being processed. Therefore, on that account, Madam Speaker, despite the fact that I was part and parcel of those who drafted this particular bill, I agree with the wisdom of the committee and agree that we should not accede to the request of the National Assembly that the bill be passed as it is. I know there was a quote-unquote a gentleman's agreement, and Senator Maanzo, you need to check with your party leader. I'm surprised you're here pushing for the position of the committee that we do an amendment to the bill. There was a quote-unquote a gentleman's agreement at NADCO that all these bills, when they come to the House, given that they were a negotiated document, that one, they should not be amended, or if they are amended, then it should be in a bipartisan approach. I don't know whether any of those two conditions has been met for you to support. But I know you're doing your work as a legislator, which is something that is not the armpit of being covered or being waived by a gentleman's agreement, particularly other people. But I thought, given that your party chair drafted this, party leader actually rather, drafted this legislation, you'd be a bit more lenient to us. But I hear what we are being told by the committee, and I think I agree with them, Madam Speaker, that this is something we need to think about. Lastly, Madam Speaker, we must ask ourselves, how far can we go as a country to accommodate the fears of people who fear to lose elections, Madam Speaker? The IBC appeared before the Budget Committee of the National Assembly last week, I think. And I saw they were requesting for, I think, 60 billion between now and the next election. Can you imagine what 60 billion can do, Madam Speaker? And all that is processes that we have had to do and counter-do just to keep some people satisfied and to make sure that every political player feels that their wishes have been accommodated. Mr. Speaker, I have been fortunate to be part and parcel of the winning team in all the 3 terms that I've been in this House, Madam Speaker. And I know that electoral contests are not easy to win. But people must also concede that in any contest, there must be a winner and a loser. We seem to be perpetuating a culture in this country, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, where people don't want to accept results. And many times they begin to speak about it even ahead of time to prepare their supporters, so that in the alternate, when they lose, they have a justification. We know these games, but we must be adults at some point and tell each other the truth, that I know I have campaigned and I have done sufficient work on the campaign trail for the citizens of the country to give me the permission to lead them, Madam Speaker. This business of drumming up, beating drums of war every now and then, oh, you'll not steal our vote. Which vote? If you believe you have sufficient vote, Madam Speaker, you go out and seek. You know, I saw a gentleman last week on Sunday bragging before the country that, oh, you know, I took care of examination and nobody stole exams. Yet he's a gentleman who one is indicted by a committee of this House, that the only record they left at the Ministry of Education is that they stole public land belonging to a primary school in Ruaraka, Madam Speaker. And they want to lecture us about electoral integrity, that they will guard the votes. There is nothing, no business we in the political class have with regards to guarding of election, Madam Speaker. We need to surrender ourselves to the authority of the IBC and trust them that they are an independent constitutional commission, that the minute they have set out their responsibility and they have done it in a fair and transparent manner, Madam Speaker, we accept the results. In fact, Madam Speaker, I dare say that given the conduct of politicians in this country, Madam Speaker, part of the electoral code of conduct that IBC gives us to commit ourselves to before subjecting ourselves to any election, Madam Speaker, must include acceptance of results, Madam Speaker. If we want to be a country that is progressive, otherwise we will end up being in a country that is pumping billions upon billions of shillings every other election cycle just to satisfy the ego of people who cannot win elections, Madam Speaker. And that cannot be allowed to perpetuate long enough. If you believe that you have sold a vision to the people of Kenya, then concentrate on ensuring that your voters turn out. They will speak through the ballot. Given our electoral system, I am deeply convinced that one of the hardest countries, Madam Speaker, to commit electoral fraud, particularly at the scale which many of the political players continue to talk about, particularly at the national level, is nearly impossible, Madam Speaker, because of the things that IBC puts in place. And I am not their spokesperson, Madam Speaker, but I just speak as a concerned Kenyan that our elections are increasingly becoming super expensive just to take care of concerns and fears of a few people, Madam Speaker, who don't have the courage of conviction to accept electoral results once they are done. Therefore, Madam Speaker, that's not the main reason why I rose to speak. I rose to agree with the committee that we didn't do a good job at the NADCO committee in terms of drafting that particular part of the bill to satisfy and meet the need or address the concern of fellow citizens. And therefore, on that account, I agree with Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that that part needs to be amended. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also rise to support the Jailer Committee on rejection of the amendments by National Assembly, Honorable Speaker. From the report, Honorable Speaker, the committee undertook very extensive public participation on this particular amendment, Madam Speaker, and what they have come up with is to ensure the people of Kenya know really what they want. In fact, I'm surprised by what my colleague on the other side has said, Madam Speaker, because I thought he was also a member of CHAILAC, but I don't know if he is. Madam Speaker, if you remember 2007, Madam Speaker, the elections for 2007, the then chairman of IBC, or that time the late Samuel Kivitu, Madam Speaker, said he didn't know who won. So that's why it took long for him to announce the results. And basically it cost, we almost lost the country because of what the then chair of IBC said, Madam Speaker. That is why when I look at this, I don't know if National Assembly undertook public participation, because the one by JLAC of this House, Madam Speaker, was very extensive. That is why they came up with this report, Madam Speaker. You can imagine, Madam Speaker, when you say the results to be announced and reasonably no delay or reasonable time, this is very subjective, Madam Speaker. And the law already is providing that at the close of the polling station, the results for 5 candidates, governor, senator, member of National Assembly, women rep, and MCs are announced after the counting of the votes, Madam Speaker. And the law is very clear. The one for the president should be declared not later than 7 days. But when you say unreasonable delay or reasonable time, what is this? This is very subjective. A month can be reasonable time. 2 months can be unreasonable time. So basically it means we will be putting the country in a very precarious situation, Madam Speaker. This, I agree that we reject this amendment by National Assembly and go by what our committee, JLAC, proposed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you know, it is, I'm surprised when people say elections are stolen. You know, as Senator Majority Leader said, it is maybe we need to also amend the law to ensure when we are subscribing to the conduct of elections, Madam Speaker, we say we'll accept the results. This is a game. Elections is like a game. It's like what happened yesterday. Manu played with another team and they won. It doesn't matter by how many calls or by how many votes. For the presidential, it's 50+1. You cannot say you have stolen when yourself, as a candidate, you have not campaigned enough, you are assuming, you don't even have agents in polling station. So who do you expect to help you to win if you cannot even help yourself? That's why we are surprised that somebody said he took care of exams. Actually, to tell you the truth, Madam Speaker, I was a member of ICT committee, and that particular former CS, we summoned him. He was very rude when he was the CS for ICT, and we could not entertain him in our committee. So I don't know. He wants to be the president of Kenya, and basically he was unable to run the Ministry of ICT properly. And when he was the CS Interior, he terrorized Kenyans, and he was very arrogant, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that is why this law is good, Madam Speaker. We don't expect any challenges. It's only that we need to have good conduct. We need to trust. We need to believe the referee. You don't fight the referee because you have lost, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on uncassetted polling stations, Madam Speaker, this is very clear. Polling stations in Kenya are cassetted. Primary, public primary school, even private primary schools, churches, polytechnics, Madam Speaker, and many other places. I don't expect that polling stations will, polling will take place in uncassetted polling stations. And the law is already very clear. You target the conduct of the IBC personnel and who would have done that. Because if there is an issue in a particular polling station, IBC should have the capacity to cassette immediately, maybe a night before, even 2 nights before, so that the residents within that area will be informed where the polling place will take place, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the digital space, Madam Speaker, this is something that people don't, I think it is sometimes not understood very well, Madam Speaker, because Madam Speaker, this is what the clause 4 says. The National Assembly is trying to delete clause 4, arguing that interference with political rights is already covered under existing offenses, bribery and undue influence. But you know, this is, Madam Speaker, if you read the Computer Cybercrime and Misuse Act, it's very clearly indicated there. And this basically supports what the Jailer Committee is saying, and this will enhance. Madam Speaker, finally, what the National Assembly should be doing now is to ensure IBC is resourced very well. They need to be given money in supplementary budget so that they can undertake mass voter registration. Because for the last 3 years, we have not done mass voter registration, Madam Speaker, because IBC commissioners were not in place, but now that they are properly in place, they should undertake mass voter registration so that the 8 million youth Senator Manzo is talking about, they take the votes. But I want to promise the united, confused opposition, Madam Speaker, that we will beat them by over 3 million votes, and they need to be ready to accept that they'll be beaten. So they need to prepare to come back to this House and the National Assembly as minority, because they are clueless. They don't know what is happening in the country. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
There's no other request, so can the mover reply?
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity to reply to this motion. And I want to first thank Senator Chiraligei for so ably seconding the motion, this very important motion. Senator Chiraligei, Nandi County Senator, is a valuable resource in this House. And at any one time, he always offers what he thinks about issues. And though sometimes we may not agree, he has a clarity of thought, at least on the issues that he believes in. So I thank him for seconding this motion with a lot of information. I want to also thank Senator Manzo for also putting his contribution towards this motion. And while he may have questioned why this bill is going this way, I want to first of all agree with him on one issue, that the people who are going around shouting one term, that shouting may just be campaign, but it may not deliver the vote or the win. And I want to encourage Kenyans to actually take up the vote, because beyond the campaign period, then comes the voting, and it's the vote that determines who then becomes a leader in Kenya. And so the vote at the end of the day is what will count. And I want to assure even the National Assembly that this is not a showdown from Senate. What Senate has done is that it has looked at the proposed amendments and subjected those amendments to constitutionalism so that we keep within the legal parameters that we are supposed to observe when we are enacting the law. Thank you, Majority Leader Senator Aaron Cheriot from Kericho County, who has consistently pushed the agenda of legislation in this House with a lot of energy and a lot of intelligence. And thank you for admitting that during the NADCO process, the good intentions that were intended to be outputted by the NADCO process have still been met, because these legislations were formulated following that process. But it's good you have admitted that because of the short timeline you had to complete the NADCO process, as this enactment of legislation was done or amendments were enacted, there were gaps that needed to be closed out. And when JLAC went through the legislation that was before JLAC, then we had to close out on those gaps and define so that it meets the specific needs that the legislation was supposed to serve. The concepts like unreasonable delay, Honorable Speaker, when that concept is introduced within just ordinary legislation that is which is subordinate to the Constitution, then to subject it to the constitutional time limit is the correct analysis of issues and is the correct guidance of how that legislation should move. And that's why Senate JLAC has exchanged the term and the concept of unreasonable delay to lean more heavily on the 7 days timeline that has been provided by the Constitution. And indeed, we need to ponder deeply on what Majority Leader has challenged us to do as a country. How much should we be spending to assure, how much should we be spending in order to assure a loser in an electoral process that that process has been checked enough and has been fair enough for them to accept the results? Indeed, Honorable Chair, I agree with Majority Leader that Kenya is one of those countries where it should be next to impossible to commit electoral fraud. And in fact, Honorable Speaker, I have listened to even the UK, the jurisdiction in the UK on matters electoral. Honorable Speaker, they are amazed at the kind of a system we have in Republic of Kenya. And in fact, they note that they have not deployed, number one, they have not deployed technology to safeguard the process. Kenya has already deployed technology. So Kenya is advanced in many, many respects in electoral matters. And I believe NADCO process gave us an opportunity long before 2027 to streamline all the electoral laws so that we do not have those showdowns that have been there in previous elections in 1997, 2002, 2007, 2012, 2017, 2022. We should not carry on with those disputes that are unnecessary, especially when the law can be straightened out. So what JLAC has done is to ensure that the bill is meeting the standards that have been set, or the contributions that have been given by stakeholders have been taken on board. The contribution of the NADCO process are taken on board, and the Constitution is adhered to so that we do not fall outside the parameters of what would be good constitutionalism. And Honorable Speaker, I also agree with the contribution of Senator Kisang and thank him for supporting the report of the JLAC, rejecting amendments that are bringing ambiguity to the Election Offences Act. And it is like we are all agreed that if the law has to be changed, if the law has to be adjusted, then it has to be adjusted or amended in accordance with what is provided for the overarching constitutional parameters. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank your office for the support you have accorded to the committee as we proceeded with this task, and I would urge all the members to continue adhering to peaceful ways of campaigning, because the purposes of this law and the purpose of making amendments to the law is to ensure that, first of all, we are not having the kind of conflicts, Honorable Speaker, that have been coming with every electoral cycle. We are not having the kind of mayhem that we are starting to see when politicians have decided that it's time to reintroduce early campaigns. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, if we were to seek the opinion of Kenyans, we might as well discover that they may not be interested in heavy campaigning right now during this season before 2027. So mine would be, even as we amend, even as we go through these amendments and we go through this legislation, is to urge everybody that let's tame the language we are using in public. Let's be more tolerant of the views of every person, and let's remember that everybody who's interested in any seat or in any political office is a Kenyan, and they deserve to be treated with integrity and with respect, and ensure that while we are campaigning or doing whatever it is that we are pushing, or whatever agenda it is that we are pushing within this period, we should do it in a manner that leaves Kenyans safe and that leaves nobody hurt because of the campaign period. And with those many remarks, I beg to reply. And Madam Speaker, I also beg and request that the putting of question be deferred to a later date in line with Standing Order 66.3. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The putting of the question is so deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Health on the county oversight and networking engagements to Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit counties.
Chair, Standing Committee on Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise a motion, a report of the Standing Committee on Health on the county oversight and network engagement to Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit County. Madam Speaker, I have a concern on this report. The report was tabled last year, but because of the elapsing of the last sessions, it was taken to this session, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I urge also our business committee, SPC, to be concerned on the dates of the reports, so that at least this is a very important report to be tabled and to be done within 6 months, so that at least the county government to take the recommendations. Madam Speaker, with that concern, the committee on health conducted the county oversight network engagement in Mandera, Wajir, Garissa from 28th April to May 2025. Madam Speaker, the committee ordered to gather this evidence, some evidence and information receiving within the parliament, and the key of how it engaged with the member of the public. Madam Speaker, the committee engagements involve in the site visits to the key health facilities, direct interaction with the county leaders, the healthcare workers, and the members of the committee, the members of the public. Through the interactions of the committee, gathered critical evidence on the health, on the advance of the healthcare personnel, the status of the medical equipment, the supplies and the effective of the emergency and the referral systems, and the implementation of digital health record. Madam Speaker, with the committee identify and visited the following healthcare in the 3 counties. In Mandera, we visited County Referral Hospital, Mandera County Referral Hospital, Elwak, Khadija Health Center, Adra Health Center, and Elwak Sub-County. In Wajir, TB Panyata, Hodhan Dispensary, Wajir County Referral Hospital in Wajir County. In Marsabit County, we visited Marsabit County Referral Hospital, Mandera Marsabit County Referral Hospital. Primary goal of the committee tour were to manifest, to design, to enhance the Senate's understanding of the health facility, health service delivery at the county level and provide legislative intervention. To assess the overall status and the quality of the health facilities, including the infrastructure, facilities, hospital equipment, and the emergency service. Secondly, to understand the unique achievements, prevailing issues, and challenges confronting the health service delivery in the counties. Thirdly, to assess the availability of the health personnel, identify the staffing gaps, and reviewing the training and the capacity building of the programs. Fourthly, to assess the availability of the essential drugs, medical supply, review the pending bill with the KEMSA, and investigating the commodity management system. Fifth, to obtain the information on the operationalization of the SHIF, the Facility Improvement Fund, and the reimbursements, the facility accreditations, and ensure the oversight of utilization of the health resources. Six, to assess the automation of the health provision system for the patient's record, drugs, and the commodity management. Madam Speaker, during the oversight visit, the committee identified the several critical challenges impacting the healthcare delivery across the 3 counties. One, the health facilities suffer from the chronic shortage of staff, specifically specialists. Madam Speaker, the second one is the low moral persistence due to the poor contractual terms, prolonged lack of promotions, and the failure to promote pay, the salaries and stipend, particularly for the casual workers and HPC and community health workers. There is also untrained personnel, including CHPs, CHW, and the community health assistants who are frequently found dispensing the medical due to shortage of staff, or absence of the quality pharmacists. Pharmaceutical technologies raising significant patient safety concern and violating the Pharmacy and Poison Act. The hospital exhibits the significant infrastructural deterioration, that is including wear out of floors, leaking of the floor roofs, damaged ceilings, and inadequate sanitation facilities. Missing of the water taps in the maternities and many others, and often leading to severe overcrowding and forcing mothers to share beds in the maternity wards. Medical equipment service that's made, equipment is often in non-functions. Most of them are broken and lying idle due to lack of the 3-phase electricity, inadequate technical supports, and expiry contracts, critical units like ICU, and often a lack of the requisite operation beds and equipment. Non-functional incinerator and lack of the proper disposal leads to unsafe, accumulative, and proper dumping of medical waste. Many facilities lack a proper security infrastructure, that is CCTV and perimeter wall. The county's routine face supply of shortage of essential drugs. And Madam Speaker, we realize KEMSA fill rate is so fill rates were not in some areas were not met, and meat supply needs persistence, forcing the patient to purchase medicine privately. Accumulations of expired drugs on the shelves. Most of the counties we have visited almost 24 of the counties, they have the same issue. This is across all the counties. There is expired drugs on the shelves in a store and widespread, indicating the poor storage management and inadequate disposal. The health record management and inventory control systems are heavily insufficient. That is manual and paper-based process. This leads to discrepancy between the physical stocks and the recorded inventory. They hinder the data accuracy and slow information of retrieving and comparisons of auditability. There is also a budget allocation oftenly prioritizing the recurrent expenditure over the development expenditure, leaving insufficient funding for infrastructure upgrading and the service expansions, and the fund embarked for the developments are frequently reallocated. A significant delay and inconsistency in reimbursements from the SHA is all over in the counties which we have visited. The hospital liquidity affected day-to-day operation and the service delivery. Madam Speaker, the committee has also provided the actionable recommendation directed primary to the county governments and the relevant national agency and the following way. Madam Speaker, the recommendation of the committee is a regular recruitment of the healthcare workers, specialists, and persistence of advance to actualize the employment on an actual contractual or internship terms to close a huge staff gaps. A resolution of the delay salary payments, remittance. Madam Speaker, most of the pending bills on the remittance of the salary reductions, immediately addressing the low staff morale and ensuring a timely remuneration and improving the terms of staff. Prioritizing the renovation and maintenance of the hospital infrastructure, including the floors, ceilings, walls, bathrooms, and also in fixing the water taps in the wards. Allocation of the dedicated funds to the complete and operationalize the stall projects, because most of their budget they normally take to recurrent instead of putting to their install projects, hospital projects, including mortuary, incinerators, and putting in place a proper security infrastructure, that is CCTV in all CCTV system in all public health facilities. Prioritizing also repair and maintenance of ambulance, and procure additional emergency units to ensure the operationalization, readiness, and establishment of a centralized dispatch system for the effective referral. Roll out also the full automated digital health record system across all the facilities to ensure a proper efficiency and data accuracy, patient tracking, and streamlining the inventory management. Madam Speaker, the implementation of the strict inventory audits to improve expiry drugs and line the recording stocks with the actual inventory. The budget allocation for the county CIDP and committee balances a portion of the annual health budgets for the capital development and preventive maintenance and protection, aiming for the last at least 30% toward the development projects. Madam Speaker, with that recommendations, on behalf of the committee, I wish to thank the Senate of Senator Abbas, the Wajir County, Senator Ali Roba, and Senator Chute for the warm welcome in the respective counties and support extended to the committees by their office during the oversight visit. The input and the contribution enabled the committees carry out these oversight mandates and function effectively in the 3 counties. Madam Speaker, the committee wishes to extend its appreciation to the Governor of Mandera, Wajir Marsabit, and the respective executive committees members for the inputs and submissions and evidence produced during the oversight tour. Further, the committee extended their appreciations to the Speaker of the County Assembly in the 3 counties and the member of the County Assembly Committee of Health for their facilitations and participations. The committee is also grateful to the members of staffs and other stakeholders in the healthcare facilities visited during the tour for their submissions, which have greatly enhanced the evidence and analyzed during the process of this report. Finally, I acknowledge and appreciate the members of the committees for their dedications and commitment during the gather of the evidence and drafting of these reports and setting up the conclusion and the recommendations. Further appreciation goes to the Office of the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the continued support to the committee during the execution of its mandate. Madam Speaker, it is now my pleasure during this duty and privilege to present this report of the Standing Committee for consideration and approval by the House, the Standing Order number 223 of the Senate Standing Order. I call upon Senator Cherargei to second. Thank you.
Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to as I second this motion on the working visit on the report on county oversight and networking engagement to Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit counties. Most of them are in northern Kenya. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the committee through the Vice Chair and the leadership of Health Committee, led by the Senator of Uasin Gishu, and the able Vice Chair, Senator Sheikh Omar, for this wonderful work. I think, Madam Speaker, just brief opening remarks is that as a Senate, we should invest more on doing oversight work visits. It is more effective, it is more efficient. You go there and interact and get what we call social audit. You are able to sit with the people, ask them questions, Madam Speaker, because this era of just sitting in a committee room and receiving reports that are written, sometimes, even if it's an OAG report, you need the veracity, you need to feel what the people feel about it. Because, Madam Speaker, this constitution is basically anchored on public participation. So I want to celebrate the Committee of Health. I have seen also where you are the Vice Chair of the Devolution Committee, although you are sometimes gets worked up until shots are being held, like the one you are trying to intervene in Kakamega. But I want, it is more effective because when you go there, people, you can share, people can see us working. You know, when we speak on the floor of the Senate or in the committees, people might not understand. But when we visit an hospital like Mandera, which I had a privilege of visiting again in 2025, Madam Speaker, in January, when we went, courtesy of the area senator who had invited a number of colleagues to go and visit, we visited Mandera County Referral Hospital. A number of them, Madam Speaker. So I want to celebrate the Health Committee, the Vice Chair, Senator Omar, for the good job that she's doing. Madam Speaker, I know she's nominated, but I hope the people of Mandera are watching closely that what a man can do, a woman can do better. Madam Speaker, just a few remarks on this report, and I'm happy it is a detailed report. Mandera, Madam Speaker, receives the highest allocation of equitable shareable revenue. We have not talked about conditional grants. We have not talked about the money they receive through other donor agencies and many others, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this Mandera County at the moment is facing drought crisis. We are aware there is the issue of water. Madam Speaker, there is the issue of challenges. Mandera also borders other countries. You remember Mandera town sits just across some areas, Madam Speaker. So it is the biggest challenge. There is so many other crises. And I'm happy the President, Madam Speaker, and it is very important to note this. When he visited Mandera on Nyota program, he promised to deliver, I think, around 3 generators. those generators are being stolen in Mandera town. It will assist the issue of water pumping, which I have seen, Madam Speaker, in Mandera, in Wajir and Marsabit. The whole cross-cutting issue is one, water shortage. But it shocked us when the governor of Mandera appeared and told us that he had spent 55.6 million Kenya shillings to buy seedlings. Yet Mandera County Referral Hospital has a scarcity of water. It tells you the leadership of that county does not prioritize, or they don't base on need assessment. Because that 55 million would have been used to fix water scarcity in Mandera County Referral Hospital. Another issue I've noted in this report, in all the three counties, Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit, is what we call expired drugs. Madam Speaker, as a House, we must be very clear on the issue of dispensation of expired drugs to our people, because it will cause what we call drug resistance. It can increase issues of disease, Madam Speaker. So I want to thank the committee. They have recommended very serious recommendations on the issue of expired drugs. Madam Speaker, on the issue of water, I have realized in some of the county hospitals that have been mentioned in Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit, because I'll run through, Madam Speaker, a number of them is the issue of plumbing and absence of water taps and water heads. No, Madam Speaker, it is very unfortunate that our governors, especially from this region, are getting a lot of allocation until they cannot even buy water taps. A water tap that is sold here, Madam Speaker. They can even not buy a water hose, Madam Speaker. It's very unfortunate. And this report has captured, Madam Speaker. Remember, Madam Speaker, on Mandera, they have allocated 2.0 billion on health sector. But you cannot see, we are discussing in this report the issue of plumbing, Madam Speaker. It is very unfortunate that, and I want to thank Senator Omar for opening about that. In fact, another challenge, number 3, is on the issue of employees. And I know Kenya Union of Council of Clinical Officers, there is the issue of workers, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kinyua, what's your point of order? Do you want to come to the front?
Speaker, nimemsikiza Cherargei akisema vizuri ya kwamba ukiangalia katika gatuzi hizo ambazo gatuzi ambayo ametaja, amesema wao ndio wamepewa hela nyingi zaidi, Speaker. Lakini ni kinaya kwangu kwa sababu tena ninaona ya kwamba Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya alipotembea huko aliwahidia kuwapatia generator. Na Bwana Speaker, Cherargei mimi namjua ni mkamavu, amekuwa akiuliza hawa magavana maswali magumu kuhusu vile wanavyotumia hizo hela. Bwana Speaker, sisi tunasumbuka kwa sababu tayari haya mambo tayari yamegatuliwa. Kwa hivyo rais akitumia tena pesa za kitaifa kupeleka katika gatuzi, hilo ndio swali ambalo.
Senator Kinyua, is that a point of order? What is your point of order?
Ninauliza kwa sababu Cherargei amesema ya kwamba sawa, Senator Cherargei amesema ya kwamba wanapewa hela nyingi sana. Kulingana vile alivyosema.
What is out of order about that?
Inakuwaje Bwana Speaker tena, Speaker, inakuwaje tena sehemu hiyo tena kunapelekwa hela zingine kutumia pesa ambazo zingepelekwa mahali pengine?
Senator Kinyua, so who is that point of order directed to?
I am confirming what Cherargei said when he was being accused.
Senator, continue with the language that you first picked.
Okay, ninasumbuka kwa sababu Cherargei amekuwa akishutumiwa ya kwamba anauliza maswali magumu mpaka wanakisia mambo mengine anawaitisha. Lakini Speaker, ikiwa pesa ni nyingi tunapaswa kuone.
Senator Kinyua, I'll get you to sit down because yours is not a point of order. When you get the opportunity and you're next, you will actually be able to make your point.
Lakini Speaker, ungenikubalia tu.
No, it's not a point of order. I'm sorry. Senator Cherargei, proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I remember Senator Kinyua just walked in. He was in Kisii and Nyamira. He's still resetting his thinking, Madam Speaker, to what is happening on the ground, at the floor of the Senate. And you know, he has been walking around with a very dangerous man who we impeached him, who is not doing very well. Madam Speaker, I note the change. Number three is the issue of shortage of nursing staff and midwives. Madam Speaker, in this era and time, there is the issue of maternity.
Senator Kenya, your point of order was overruled, so Senator Cherarigai, proceed.
Madam Speaker, I need protection. I think Senator Kenya should know this is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya.
Proceed.
This is not Karoga Market. Madam Speaker, this shortage of nursing staff and midwives, Madam Speaker, it is governors. Because if they cannot take care of the future of this country, Madam Speaker.
Would you like to be informed by Senator Kathy Muma?
Yes, the Speaker can always.
Senator Kathy Muma, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform Senator Cherargei that the role of midwives in Kenya and in Africa is so important that it is at the center of stemming maternal mortality. So it will be wrong for this House to seem to look as if it does not appreciate the role of midwives.
Proceed. I'm sure you are duly informed.
Okay, I agree with Senator Muma that is very critical. I'll make 2 points, then I yield. But and that is why I'm saying the issue of midwives and issue should be resolved. Northern Kenya, especially Mandera, the average family birth rate is between 7 to 8 children, which means if we add the service of midwife, we can get even up to 10. The average of Northern Kenya is between 6 to 7 children. In Mount Kenya region, which some people say is a stronghold, are getting an average of 1.5 to 2 children, although we can truncate it to 2. So you can imagine where the stronghold is, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the final point, because I know we are spent for time, is other areas like just infrastructure, the issue of laundry, Madam Speaker. I am happy that one has been noted. The issue of Khadija dispensary, Madam Speaker. The incinerator, I think, is something very cheap that we should not appear in this report. The issue of Hellwork Health Center and Hellwork Sub-County Hospital, there are similar problems that we are facing, Madam Speaker. The issue of water scarcity, expired drugs, the issue of staffing, the issue of access and ensuring that people get opportunity. Madam Speaker, the second county, Wajir County, I'm rushing through, is Wajir Maternity TB Center. It's not provided for. People do not have protective gear, which is very unfortunate, Madam Speaker. The issue of condemned infrastructure in Wajir Manyata TB Center, Madam Speaker. This is very unfortunate. I am happy that the committee have made recommendation to the governor to ensure that these issues are addressed once and for all, especially their role as the governor of Wajir, Madam Speaker. Even the issue of data protection, Madam Speaker, because most county hospitals don't keep data records. And Madam Speaker, your sickness, how you are treated is a private matter. I wish our county governments could know that the breach of data is a serious legal dispute, that it is not fair to reveal anybody's medical records. And most of us, including even I've seen Murang'a trying to digitize, but including Murang'a and many of our counties, they don't have protection of data. Number 3, Madam Speaker, on the issue of poor record keeping, the dilapidated, I'm happy the pictures have been shared. Especially when you go to Wajir TB Center, it is a foregone discussion. In the issue of Ordan dispensary, Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate that they lack a pharmacist. There are people who are willing to work in Wajir. It looks like the county government is not very keen and they are not doing their job. On the issue of Wajir County dumping site, Madam Speaker, it is very unfortunate that there is an incinerator, Madam Speaker, to destroy this hazardous substance that come from our hospital. They are just dumping in Wajir dump site, Madam Speaker. And it is a danger to the residential areas. And I've told you, Wajir, Madam Speaker, you saw a documentary in NTV where there are people called toilet collectors in Wajir. Every evening they go with their jerrycans to collect toilet around Wajir town. Then they put in the lorry, then it is dumped in Wajir dump site, Madam Speaker, which is very unfortunate. And remember, this is the county where the Council of Governors, Ahmed Abdullah is the governor, and he had the audacity to say they cannot appear before the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. Wajir County Referral Hospital suffers from the similar issues, the issue of poor storage, drugs expired, Madam Speaker, infrastructure, and they are allocating more than 2 billion Kenyan shillings to the health sector in Mandera. Madam Speaker, I will finish at Wajir. We must see the service provision. 2 billion that goes to health sector in Wajir must be done. And I think the reason the governor of Wajir does not want to appear before this is because he is too embarrassed to tell us about the expired drugs, the poor sanitation, Madam Speaker, the issue of poor working condition, general poor development of Wajir County government, yet is the COG chair that presides over a gossip club. On the issue of Marsabit, is the same issue, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, so that we can move with the business of the House, allow me to say health is very important. Let us refocus our energy. And I want to conclude with the words I normally use, Madam Speaker, that the future, the strength and success of devolution will only be measured by one thing, Madam Speaker, the functionality of health sector in our counties. So the governor of Wajir, the governor of Mandera and Marsabit, if I was to give them a score sheet, Madam Speaker, in the health sector, they have gotten -1 out of 10, Madam Speaker. With those many remarks, I beg to second.
Thank you, Senator Chiradige. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Health regarding the county oversight and networking engagements to Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit counties laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 2nd on October 2025. I will now invite senators to contribute to this debate. Senator Karen Nyamo.
Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity to make comments on the report, on the findings of the Health Committee, on the visits to Mandera, Marsabit, and what is the other county? And Wajir counties, Madam Speaker. These findings by the Health Committee are not statistics. Madam Speaker, this is reality in many counties in our health system, Madam Speaker, and it begs the question, Madam Speaker, after devolution, after we have devolved health, what investments are we doing in our counties? Because what seems to happen is just recurrent expenditure. That's what we budget for. The infrastructure in county hospitals, including here in Nairobi, is really deteriorating. A visit to one of our busiest hospitals here in Nairobi, for example, Mama Lucy Hospital and Bagati Hospitals, which are the hospitals that take care of the majority of Nairobians, the average Nairobians. You will see leaking roofs, you will see broken sanitation, and the most disturbing is patients sharing beds to date, Madam Speaker. I think it is time that we prioritize in our budgets, our county budgets, the expansion of the infrastructure in our hospitals, Madam Speaker. In this time and day, we should not be normalizing patients sharing beds and making situations or medical situations worse, because you might enter a hospital with a certain condition and have to deal with another condition that you pick in hospital because of this sharing beds, Mr. Speaker. Personnel, we have shortage of personnel, like as indicated in this report in Wajir and Mandera. And the Health Committee found untrained personnel dispensing medicine, and which is very dangerous because we know the repercussions of somebody who is not trained at all in the medical field dispensing medicine. This is not a joking matter. We need to be serious and train and employ in our county hospitals only trained personnel, Madam Speaker. We also have severe shortages of drugs which are perennial. These are things we have been talking about since I got into this Senate. Shortage of medicine, shortage of specialists in hospital. What is being done towards it? And the Senate Committee on Health has given quite practical solutions. And Madam Speaker, I recommend that both levels of governments, the county government and the national government, implement the recommendations of these reports as soon as possible. Health is not a privilege, Madam Speaker. You know that health is provided for in the Constitution as a right, in the Bill of Rights, and so this is not something that should be up for debate, Madam Speaker. As a country, we must prioritize the health of our people, Madam Speaker. And if we truly want a universal health care and universal health coverage to succeed in this country, there are some things that we should not be debating on this time, in this day and age. So I want to urge both governments, both levels, to implement the recommendations as given in the health report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Karen. We can now have Senator Derito John Kenywa, Laikipia County.
Asante, Bi Speaker, kunipa fursa hii. Kwanzia mwanzo nataka kupongeza kamati ya afya inayoongozwa na Senator Mandago kwa kazi nzuri waliofanya. Bi Speaker, inapaswa eleweke wazi kwanzia mwanzo tuseme ya kwamba afya ndio kiungo muhimu zaidi katika gatuzi zetu, ama jambo ambalo tunapaswa kuzingatia zaidi, kwa sababu Bi Speaker, tukiwa na barabara nzuri, tukiwa na shule nzuri, lakini wananchi wenyewe wawe afya yao imedhoofika, wawe na afya mbaya, Bi Speaker, hayo mambo mengine yote yatakosa umuhimu. Bi Speaker, ripoti hii inayoangazia kuhusu gatuzi 3, Mandera, Wajir na Marsabit, ni kama kioo. Bi Speaker, inaonyesha vile ambavyo gatuzi zetu zinavyoendeleza mambo ya afya. Bi Speaker, ukitembelea hospitali nyingi katika gatuzi zetu, zahanati, utapata ya kwamba hazina dawa. Na zile dawa zilizoko unapata zingine tayari zimeharibika ama zinakaribia kuharibika. Na nyingi za zile dawa wagonjwa wangehitaji unapata hakuna. Bi Speaker, na ni jambo la kuvunja moyo sana, kwa sababu katika seneti hii tumejikakamua kuongeza mgao wa pesa unaoenda katika gatuzi zetu. Hizi gatuzi 3 zimetajwa hapa, unapata ya kwamba hela ambazo tumezigawia ni hela nyingi sana, lakini wanapokuja katika kamati ambayo inashughulikia haya mambo unapata hawezi kujibu maswali vile ambavyo walitumia hizi hela. Kwa hivyo kamati ya afya, kwa sababu walitembelea hizi sehemu, na Bi Speaker, nataka kukubaliana na Senator Cherargei ya kwamba ni vizuri kutembelea kaunti zenyewe ndio uweze kuelewa mambo yanayotendeka. Si kungoja ripoti tu ziandikwe na wale wakaguzi wa hesabu na wale wengine alafu tunaziangazia. Ni vizuri, kwa sababu sisi kama seneti kazi yetu ni kulinda na kutetea hizi gatuzi. Unawezaje kuzitetea kama hauzielewi? Itakuwa ni vigumu. Kwa hivyo hii kamati nataka kuipongeza kwa sababu walitembea katika gatuzi hizi na wakaona changamoto walizonazo, ukosefu wa maji, Bi Speaker. Wakunga ambao wako huko ni wakunga wachache, na vile vile si wakunga peke yake, tunapaswa kuangalia hata na hawa madaktari wa nyanjani ambao wanachangia zaidi sana katika mambo ya afya, kwa sababu kabla ya mgonjwa aweze kwenda katika zahanati ama hospitalini, wanaweza kuwa amemshughulikia kwa dharura ndio aweze kwa sababu Mswahili anasema kukinga ni bora kuliko kutibu. Kuzuia ni bora kuliko kutibu. Kwa hivyo Speaker, haya mapendekezo ni mazuri sana. Lakini Speaker, kwa sababu tumekuwa na ripoti kama hizi mara si moja, tutafuatiliaje haya mapendekezo Speaker yameweza kutekelezwa? Kwa sababu isiwe tu ni mapendekezo. Pengine mimi ningempa changamoto kiongozi walio wengi, kwa sababu tumekuwa na yeye hapa kwa tuseme mihula miwili sasa, na tumekuwa tukipendekeza tuwe na kamati ya kufuatilia kwamba haya mapendekezo ambayo yanapendekezwa katika kamati yafuatiliwe ya kwamba yametendeka. Tusiwe tu tunatembea katika hizi gatuzi, tunafanya mapendekezo ambayo ni mapendekezo mazuri, lakini hatimaye yanabaki katika masanduku na hayafuatiliwi. Kwa hivyo hiyo ingekuwa tu ni changamoto kwa kiongozi walio wengi, tuweze kuwa na ile kamati Speaker ya kufuatilia ya kwamba haya mapendekezo yote yanatendeka. Speaker, ukitembea mahali kama Nyahururu, hospitali ya Nyahururu, dawa hakuna. Mgonjwa amekuja anapaswa kupata afueni akifika hospitalini, lakini pale ndio anapata changamoto hata zaidi, kwa sababu vitanda vilivyoko watu wanalala wagonjwa watatu. Hapana, hata gondoro lenyewe limekwisha, mtu analia chuma Speaker. Kwa hivyo hata kama alikuwa na ugonjwa ambao amefanya alazwe, anapata ugonjwa mwingine wa mifupa kwa sababu amelalia ile chuma Speaker, inakuwa ni changamoto. Kwa hivyo si Marsabit peke yake, si Wajir, si Mandera wanakona changamoto. Vile vile ukienda na Nyuki, vile hospitali unapata hakuna dawa. Kwa hivyo kamati hii ya afya inapaswa iangazie haya maneno vile ambavyo yameangazia, lakini si kuyaangazia kwa sababu kuyaangazia ndio, lakini kutekelezwa haya mapendekezo tuyafuatilie. Hata kama hawataweza haya mapendekezo yote hawataweza kuyafikia, angalau Speaker, wakiafikia asilimia kama 60, tutasema ndio tuko katika mwendo. Lakini sisi kama seneti tunasikia, tuna uchungu, na wakiulizwa maswali magavana wanasema hawatakuja katika kamati kwa sababu wanaulizwa maswali magumu na kupeana viji sababu, kusema ya kwamba sijui anaitishwa hela, sijui anaitishwa. Kuna mtu anaitisha hela. Ile ambayo tunawaitisha ni uangalifu wa hela za umma, kwa sababu sisi kazi yetu ni kuhakikisha kwamba hela ambazo tumezigawa hapa zinatumika vile ambavyo zinapaswa kutumika bila kupitia njia ya kando. Speaker, nashukuru kwa kunipa fursa hii na naunga mkono ripoti hii na haya mapendekezo Bwana Speaker yafuatiliwe ndio yaweze kutekelezwa. Asante.
Thank you, Senator Kenywa. Senator Wafula David Wakoli.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi ambayo umenipa na kuweza vile vile kama aliyekuwa mwanachama wa kamati hii kuchangia. Mheshimiwa Spika, kaunti ya Mandera na Wajir, Mheshimiwa Spika, imedhihirika kwamba haina maji ama hawana mafundi ambao wanarekebisha maji na mirija ya maji, na hivi kwamba hospitali hizi zina hitilafu hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, mashamba ama ardhi na maua katika hospitali ya Marsabit hayakuwa yameshughulikiwa ipasavyo na mahali pa kutupa taka. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika hospitali ya Wajir vile vyumba ama vitanda vya watoto wadogo almaarufu kwa kimombo baby cots havikuwepo vya kutosha, na hii inaathiri hali ya watoto wanapozaliwa katika zahanati hizi. Hospitali ya Wajir vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika, baada ya kujifungua kina mama hawa hakukuwa na mbinu za kupambana na mbu ambao wangependa kuwamumunya watoto wachanga na mama zao. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, katika maeneo mbalimbali hakukuwa na miundombinu na vifaa madhubuti vya kupambana ama kuwasaidia matabibu kufanya kazi yao katika hospitali. Mheshimiwa, nikitamatisha kwa sababu ya muda, katika hospitali ya Mandera Marsabit kulikuwa na mabati ama paa zinazovunja, taa ambazo hazifanyi kazi, nyaya ambazo hazikuwa zimeunganishwa sawasawa, na hivi kwamba ilikuwa inaathiri ama kuhatarisha maisha ya wagonjwa na watoto. Hivi kwamba tunasema kaunti hizi lazima ziwajibike, na jinsi tulivyokuwa tunadai waje katika kamati zetu, Wakenya sasa wanaweza kwenda kwenye tovuti na mtandao wa Bunge wajionee ripoti hii, jinsi magavana wanapenda pesa nyingi, lakini wajibikaji ni vigumu kwao, ni kama donda sugu. Ningependa kuunga mkono ripoti ya kamati ya afya. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, Senator Okoli. Senator Mariam, you can now proceed to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the contribution made by members on this report. Madam Speaker, most of the contribution is about on the recommendations. Madam Speaker, we as a committee, we have visited almost 24 counties, and all the counties have the same issues, most of them, all of them, if you say. But specifically for these 3 counties, especially the drugs, there's no drugs at the hospital level because of the KEMSA pending bills. If I may highlight, Mandera County, the pending bill to the KEMSA is 147.7 million. Marsabit is 100 million. And Wajir is 134. Madam Speaker, most of them is over 190 days. So to get other drugs, it will be very difficult, and for fill rates to be accurate, it will be a bit difficult until they pay the pending bill. Madam Speaker, the other one which I wanted to paraphrase properly is motivation of staff of CHPs delaying their stipends and the casual workers' payment. Madam Speaker, with that all, I wanted to beg to reply and request that the putting of the questions be deferred to the later dates as a pursuant to Standing Order 66.3. Thank you.
The putting of question is deferred to the next session of the Senate. Next order.
Order number 16, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 48 of 2024, second reading.
Majority Leader Senator Aaron Cheriot, you can move the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 48 of 2024, be now read a second time. The Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill was published in the Kenya Gazette notice, Madam Speaker, on the 6th of December 2024 and referred to the Senate for its consideration. This bill seeks to amend the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, Cap 412C, Madam Speaker, of the Constitution, which provides for the procedures for efficient public procurement and asset disposal by public entities in the areas of public finance. These procedures include the reservation, preferential treatment on firms and contractors. The bill further seeks to amend the Principal Act to amend provisions relating to the definition and terms used in law and functions of this procurement. Madam Speaker, this bill will strengthen the framework on government and how public resources are spent and managed, updating an old law that was last amended, I think, in 2015, if I am not wrong, whose main objective, of course, is to promote transparency, ensure that we do things in an organized way, Madam Speaker, that preserves public interest and ensure that there is efficiency in terms of usage of public resources, Madam Speaker. This bill prioritizes actually local industry and development by reserving local contracts to a certain threshold for local farms. This not only supports domestic economic growth. There has been many proposals back in the day, but I have not seen people actually move in this particular direction to try and reserve procurement for local entities up to a certain amount, Madam Speaker. This bill helped Parliament to fulfill the constitutional mandate to safeguard public resources and ensure that we promote sustainable development. Specifically, Madam Speaker, Section 4 provides for foreign procurement contracts that have not been subjected to provisions of international procurement guidelines or adhere to Kenyan procurement laws. This amendment proposes that the Act applies to foreign-funded procurement of goods, works and services, except where bilateral or multilateral agreements between the government of Kenya and the foreign agencies provide for the use of international procuring firms and guidelines. To amend Section 9, it provides for an additional functions to PPRA to monitor and evaluate technology, knowledge and skills transfer programs to provide annual public reports. It also amends Section 10 to include, Madam Speaker, representatives from the Law Society of Kenya as a member of the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. It further amends Section 33, Madam Speaker, to provide for additional roles to the county treasury to ensure that procurement functions shall prioritize goods and services manufactured in that county specifically. It repeals Section 40 of this Act to enable investigations to proceed despite the fact that issues under investigation in relation to an issue that review board is reviewing has reviewed under the relevant provisions of the Act. It amends also Section 41 to provide that a person can be debarred for public procurement for a period not exceeding 10 years. It provides that a person or a firm debarred by an international agency recognized by Kenya shall be considered to have been debarred in Kenya as if the debarment procedures and proceedings were concluded in Kenya. Many issues regarding to that particular provisions have been litigated in our courts for many years, Madam Speaker, where certain individuals or business entities have been debarred from participating in public procurement in their areas of jurisdiction. Now, in areas where you're working with entities that are recognized by our laws formally, Madam Speaker, if such individuals were to apply to do business in Kenya, they will not be allowed. To amend Section 44 of this Act to task an accounting officer to ensure that locally procured products or services are prioritized. In addition to accounting officers shall ensure that technology, knowledge and skills transfer plans from foreign firms are prioritized in the procurement and asset disposals, meaning that when you procure from a foreign entity, then you shall set in place procedures to ensure, Madam Speaker, that there is transfer of knowledge and skill to the local economy, and you just don't do a transfer of resources with them. Section 53 provides that the procurement of less than 1 billion shillings shall be awarded to a local firm. It also provides that foreign firms shall be eligible to procurement of contracts of more than 1 billion shillings where a foreign firm has entered into a JV with a local firm for not less than 30% of the value of the procurement. It also amends Section 70 that requires entities to set out in their standard tender documents specific goods and works and services to be undertaken by a local firm, joint venture, where a procurement is of a value exceeding 1 billion Kenya shillings. It further amends Section 83 to provide additional forms of conduct of due diligence by an evaluation committee to visiting offices, inspection of plant. The current subsection only lists one form of due diligence, which is obtaining confidential reference from persons with whom the tenderer has had prior engagement. I hope at the committee of the whole stage you can provide further clarity to avoid the business, Madam Speaker, where you force people actually to travel to very far and beyond countries to inspect goods that are sometimes cheaper than the cost of the airfare that it takes the evaluation committee to go and inspect some of those goods, Madam Speaker. It also amends Section 89 to obligate the procuring entity to seek advice of the AG on the propriety of the funding of foreign tender in case where a foreign tender participates in the competition for procurement. To insert a new Section 139 and 149, Madam Speaker, and so many others. They are part of sections that are being repealed, which include Section 177, which is penalty for natural persons decreased from a fine not exceeding 4 million or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years to a fine not exceeding 1 million and imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years or both, additionally mandatory. You know, the penalty for natural persons has been decreased from 4 million shillings to 1 million. Further, an additional mandatory fine has been introduced. The general penalty for corporate body has been retained at not less than 10 million shillings, but this will not be addition to mandatory fine if, as a result of the conduct that constituted the offense, the person received a quantifiable benefit of doubt or any other quantifiable loss. This bill also proposes mandatory fines that apply in instances where offense results in benefit or a loss. Madam Speaker, those are the various clauses that you are amending in this particular piece of law. So it's a cleanup, actually, of the Public Procurement and Assets and Disposal Act, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we conform it to the provisions of our new constitution, just ensure that we bring transparency and we make this law work better. With those main remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request the Senator for Bungoma, Senator Wakoli, to second. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senate Majority Leader, Senator Wafula Wakoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the first, I want to second this, Honorable Speaker, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly, number 48 of 2024. Honorable Speaker, I will not delve into detail because of time, but for the purpose of the public and Kenyans who follow, Honorable Speaker, I want to submit and second and say that Section 86 to prohibit citizen contractors who become successful tenderers from subcontracting to foreign companies unless the knowledge, skills, goods, or services are unavailable in this country. Honorable Speaker, this is a matter that is in the public domain. We are doing affordable housing. We are doing bridges. We are doing many infrastructural development. We are doing a stadium, Honorable Speaker. But Kenyans have the zeal and the desire to participate and build and construct this country. This bill will give them an opportunity to participate directly and ensure that they also add value in their skills, Honorable Speaker. To amend 89, Honorable Speaker, to obligate the procurement entity to seek the advice of the Attorney General on the propriety of the funding of the foreign tenderer in a case where a foreign tenderer participates in the competition for procurement. Honorable Speaker, to amend 135 is part of the tender documents, the transfer of skills and technology plan. We are sending many of our young people out of this country. Now we are tapping into this technological field directly from Kenya, so that as they leave this country, they are better human resource people to the world than what we have today. We don't say that we don't have the base, but we are saying the other technologies that are coming on board, we can tap into them and make Kenya great again. Honorable Speaker, to amend Section 149 to obligate the authority to ensure that priority is given to citizen contractors in the subcontractors of tenderers. Further, where it is deemed necessary to subcontract a tender to a foreign contractor, the accounting officer shall cause a report to be prepared. Honorable Speaker, you know this country, where people have been mischievous enough to pursue tenders, big tenders, but behind the scenes, they just transfer without any knowledge, without any reason. This bill is going to ensure that by the time you are subcontracting a foreign entity it means this country is not able to provide those services. So I support this bill and request that my colleague members to create time and go through it and be able to push it to the next level. To amend Section 176 is to provide
we will show you na Geogoro. Kwa bwana ni Arambe.
tumechoka. Mama mboga wanalia, mama mboga tumechoka, tumechinjwa kiuchumi.
Hapa sasa tumefika Ekerenyo, unaona watu ni wengi, ni maelfu ya watu, mamilioni ya watu ni wengi hapa, watu wakionyesha kwamba ni wakati wa mabadiliko, ni wakati wa kubadilisha uongozi wa nchi hii, uongozi wa sasa. Baba, hakikisha watoto wako salama.
Wewe ni nani unapika? Kwa mulezi hata karua oitake tuchini wa mama mekubali Aronso msio mekubali Shati ya shawa mekubali Ekihomo ni Matiang'i anarosha Wakenya wote wanasema Fomu ni Furedi o Matiang'i Yasa wote tunasema Fomu ni Furedi o Matiang'i Centro wote wanasema Fomu ni Furedi o Matiang'i
Hapa nasikia watu kusema kwamba Kasongo ni watamu. Kasongo haina nyumbani. Kasongo wakati
wanasema Fomu ni Furedi o Matiang'i Rift Valley wanasemaje Fomu ni Furedi o Matiang'i
1 2
Mai to kwenye beka asitoka soka ida
egende kiota toka na toke mai tukaya kala we will show you na keo koru to igwana ni arambe
Uko wapi? Songa mbele, uko wapi? Songa mbele, vijana wanauliza. Tumechoka, tumelia sisi wote, aile. Tumechinjwa kiuchumi, tumechoka. Mama mboga wanalia, mama mboga tumechoka, tumechinjwa kiuchumi. Songa mbele na Wakenya, songa mbele. Songa mbele Watanzania na Wakenya. Songa mbele.
Hapo muziki ndio hiyo, tusonge pande hii. Tafadhali hapa naomba msonge nyuma hapa hivi. Tafadhali msonge nyuma. Wale watu mko hapa msonge nyuma kiasi. Msonge nyuma, msonge. Haya, asanteni. Watu wetu wa Nyamira, asante sana. Nyinyi watu wa media, tafadhali naomba msonge hapo. Wewe. Naomba msonge kutoka hapo tafadhali. Msonge pande hiyo kabisa. Msonge hivyo, msonge. Haya, msonge namna hiyo. Haya, DJ sawa. Ochi. Halo. Nije tupatie ngoma kidogo tu, tujipange magari pale tafadhali. Asante DJ. Watu wa Nyamira wapi kelele ya Rigiji? Wapi kelele ya Karozo? Kelele ya Wamalwa? Makaribisha ya Natembea? Makaribisha ya Munya? Na makaribisha ya mtoto wa nyumbani Dr. Matiang'i? Asante sana. Sasa naona mmekuja kwa wingi. Leo ni leo, msemaye kesho ni? Leo msemaye kesho ni? Asante. Basi nataka sasa niwaombe tutulie. Mvua iko mingi, wageni ni wengi. Naomba sasa tutulie. Wageni ni wengi ndio wapate nafasi ya kuzungumza nanyi. Tuko pamoja? Harambee! Harambee! Nyamira mnasemaje? Asante sana. Sasa wacha tuanze rasmi, tuitishe ule mzee atatuombea. ule mzee ambaye atatuombea Pastor John Nyatogo, naomba uje tuweke kwenye maombi. Pastor John Nyatogo, Pastor John Nyatogo uko wapi? Pastor John Nyatogo, Pastor John Nyatogo. Haya, John Nyatogo. Haya, na hapa hivi naomba mkilia kidogo upande wa kulia. Haya, naomba tutulie sasa tupate maombi kutoka Pastor Nyatogo. Asante sana. Karibu Pastor.
Wakenya wote wanasema
asante sana Pastor. Haya.
Wakenya wote wanasema
Baba yetu na Mungu uishie juu mbinguni, tunalitia jina lako takatifu tukiwa na furaha nyingi kwa sababu ya uhai uliotupatia kila mmoja katika siku ya leo. Pia tunashukuru ya kwamba umewaongoza wageni tuliokuwa tunawasubiri, umewaleta salama. Tunakualika katika mkutano wa leo, Mungu wetu, ya kwamba anza pamoja nasi na ukamalize pamoja nasi. Tunaomba utulivu, tunaomba amani, tunaomba jina lako liinuliwe zaidi. Kila maongeo ambayo yatakuwa mahali hapa yawe yanaliinua jina lako juu. Tumeomba na kuamini katika jina la Yesu aliye mkombozi wetu. Amen. Asante sana. Haya, vijana tutulie. Haya, tutulie. Hiyo vuvuzela tutulie kidogo. Abantu waminto, wekere nyambuya mole. Nyambuya naende. Bona, ndage totagerene. Amangana ngo barekere, ndagi bwana ine. Amangana ale ngo bareria. Otiengi manoera. Abagaka wali abana kurubonjari nobara. Wali banyari bari nobara. Abaito koru nyamira bagirango nobara. Bona ndage totagerene. Kindiki batokorere ceremony enkeigo. Torosio mwana itobuya igo tomanya kwanza eshere. Ntorama abuo. Ntorama. Kabisa. Arambe. Kwanza. Asante sana. Sasa mimi namuomba ule mzee Matundura. Kidogo. Mzee Matundura. Nisapita. Wageni. Ulibobo kana. Tumefika Ringiji. Onjus. Aito. Erani na mataye. Moina ikule bakogamba. Matiangi. Moina ikule bakoredi. Matiangi. Moina ikule bakotera. Matiangi. Moina ikule bakogamba. Matiangi. Fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Yasa wote tunasema fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Centro wote wanasema fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Mount Kenya wanasema fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Kenzi wote wanasema fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Protestani wanasema fomu ni Furedi Omatiangi. Asante sana. Haya wazee, sijui nitapatia nani. Naomba tu mwapatie dakika chache, dakika 10 namna hii tumalize sherehe, alafu tuanze tutwange mambo leo katika kaunti ya Nyamira. Si tuko pamoja vijana? Vijana wewe! Wazee wewe! Naona mko sawa ngangari. Mzee Matundura.
Asante. Tafadhali tusikizane ndio mtaona vizuri. Tusikizane. Sasa tunaanza sherehe rasmi na mnaongea Kiswahili kwa sababu ya wageni wetu ambao ni wa maana sana wamekuja sehemu hii, na tunataka tuanze hii process na Osho iko
Omunyakerogo, chairman wetu wa Gusii Culture, sisi tuko hapa kufanya hii sherehe vile Mkisia anafanya. Kwa hivyo tuko na vitu hapa ambao tutapeana, na wakati tunapeana tutakuwa tunaelezea ndobe tukueleza so bwengenga kidogo kora igo tukuranga ni moto tegere buja kidogo egere pe iguanane abwasemore igo bono eshere tu alliance omugaka chairman Matundra to welcome ye na chengo ba welcome once ase Nyamira as a county ninjo Munyakero kurwaiga Nyamira North igo tuanze sherehe egento tanga koya na nege tangani ndege temonte gerake Okay, Chairman, thank you so much. Let us be in order now. Atoka ntegoan saiga, again to tokorwe getanga ni nekerogo. Oyo kebuate no mwaka gisore, please. Gisore, kabeteare na omwaka Chief Monyancha, please. Chief Monyancha, where are you? Thank you so much. Ekerogo ekine kiomo Gusii, nekito tokan piko our president of the year. Amarieta aiga gisora nero kubwate kerogo aire omugaka Chief Monyancha. Okay, enguba yokaewa enguba isi enguba said onguti ngayora kijana onguti na kijana Gikenye please obusugunia Gikenye ngayore
process na kidogo chake na tomago turumbo kaiga ako changwe como na tomo rangal pada via mana ogo tenna to go karans ogo tenna ga eto ogo tenna to ri redibus abasi irangora bono irangora ida to iwane akara tu ara direct kara irangora akara tu igira sekerogo kwa vile tumefika kwa kiti na sasa yeye inasemekana tusonge nyumba kidogo. Wageni wanasema tumefungia kabisa. Akaratua ikirase kidogo tunafarisha yeye nguo ya Wakisii. Wakisii waliamua kuwa na hii nguo badala ya ngozi. Kwa hivyo ile nguo yake iko wapi? Si uitoe ndani tafadhali. Nyakundi ndio wanasaidiana na huyu kumafarisha hiyo nguo. kire yange agusi litukoria rero mobekere bakai mungu ya uja akereke mungu ya kabere akari bakai goro kabisa ya akereke ya kabere hapo. Okay, akaratua ikira hapo umechukua ile karatasi wapi sasa tunabuaga karatasi
Okay, Mheshimiwa President, on the next one ekekubuatia Nesmati Igo Esmati omufeli pongeri na Nyakundi Nchwango Gaiga Wakundi.
Tumechoka mama mboga wanalia mama mboga tumechoka tumechinjwa kiuchumi.